OotiniCast. It is episode 361 on May 11th, 2019. And I'm here with Dr SWTOR and also with Fee from the Guild, and also with first-time guests Jae and Ash from Cosplayers of the Old Republic. And they're going to be our guests today. Hey, guys.
Hello.
And we'll get the actual show going here in just a moment. We're just going to make sure everything's ready. I think Doc's doing some last-minute show note stuff.
And I can't find the Twitch channel, which is weird.
I had to search for it.
Weird. Okay, Twitch and Twitter are in it together. They're in cahoots.
All right, and I'll also tweet this out. So yeah, so this is the raw version of the show. Goes out with all the flubs and whatever intact, and then I will be editing the episode, and it will go out as a podcast tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and get this tweeted out so people know that we're live.
And I will retweet your tweet.
Mm-hmm. There we go. All right. Doc's famous typing is also another reason to have separate tracks.
Yes. Hey, he's a gamer, man. We all have loud keyboards. If I was typing, it'd be the same way. I just can't do that many things at once.
It wasn't that bad when I didn't want everything to be lighting up in the background. And then I have this wonderful keyboard that makes tons of noise. But it's backlit fire colors, so it's worth it, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah, mine is too.
I should put a picture of it in the show notes so people know what is to blame.
There you go.
Yeah, and I have like the cheapest keyboard I could find, with two of the keys purposefully ripped out so I don't actually accidentally use them while I'm gaming.
Oh, that's funny. Seriously? That's
I
awesome.
seriously took out the left side Windows key because that would actually minimize my game and bring up Windows, the Windows bar, and then cap lock. I got rid of that too because it was screwing something up too. I can still hit it technically. I have to like stick my pinky finger in it and go and jab it, and so I can still make it work. But I hardly ever need to, so it doesn't bother me at all.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, and as far as the window goes, there's another one on the right side of the space bar anyway, so it's like I don't even need the left one. And the left one was screwing me up because it's next to my Control Alt and Shift whenever I'm doing games. But yeah, I use the cheap keyboard, but I do have an Nostromo for most of my gaming purposes. So
Oh, that's right. You have that funky thing.
it is awesome. Yeah,
Really?
they still make them. I had to replace it finally after years and years of use of the original one. It still technically works, but there's one button that got a little funky, so I decided to go ahead and replace it. And yeah, I still love it. It's basically the same. When I bought the new one, I was expecting upgrades or it would look different, or no, basically the exact same. So it's all good.
Nice.
Yeah, works really well. I love just having the different key setups, and my hand's really comfortable on it. Yeah, I don't have to move my fingers at all. So like on my right wrist, I have to wear a little wrist brace to keep my wrist from getting tired with my mouse. But on the left hand with my Nostromo, no problem.
Nice.
Awesome.
Baja Fresh Cup.
Yeah, I still use them.
Do they still have Baja Fresh?
Oh, where I am at least, yeah.
Do they? Okay, I knew they had it when I was out there, but yeah, that's a good place. They have good chips
Yeah.
and salsa.
I mean, they're nice, and well, this is a really old one, but
Yeah.
there's like a newer one, a kind of a newer one, and what they do is you bring it back to them, and they'll you buy a refill essentially, and it's a lot cheaper, and it saves plastic, so it's all good. All right, is everyone ready to go?
Ready.
Okay, we've already confirmed that Audacities are rolling, so I think we're good. All right, let me get a little more water, and we'll go in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast. Commence primary ignition. This is episode 361 being recorded on Saturday, May 11th, 2019. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Dr SWTOR. Hey, Doc. Nice. And we have some first-time guests. This is always a treat. And today it is Jae and Ash from Cosplayers of the Old Republic. Hey, Jae and Ash. How you guys doing?
Hey.
So nice to have you on the show. Now, you guys, we have Fee here as well. Hey, Fee.
Hello.
And Fee introduced us to you guys because you were heading up the cosplay booth that was right next to SWTORista's SWTOR fan booth. So tell us a little bit about, how you got into cosplay and what you're doing with Cosplayers of the Old Republic.
Hi, this is Ash. This all started a few years ago. We've been cosplayers for years, building our own costumes in a number of different fandoms. But a few years ago, when I went to try to get one of my Jedi costumes approved by Rebel Legion and some of the other costuming clubs, it turned out that there wasn't really costuming standards for a lot of the Old Republic ones that weren't a very specific one or two
like
costumes.
Revan, right?
Like Revan or an armored Jedi from Old Republic. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll just start a little group on Facebook, like 12 people that have an interest in Old Republic, and we can all sort of share our costumes without needing the same standards. And here we are a couple years later, and we're getting close to 1,000 members now. And
Wow,
it's crazy how much
That's
1,000.
amazing.
It's crazy how much it's grown in just a few years' time.
That is so cool. Now,
And it's actually, we met Charles Boyd at the Cantina a couple of years ago at 2017, I guess. And that was within the week that we started Cosplayers of the Old Republic.
okay. And of course, he's famous for liking to do a bit of that himself.
Well, that's actually the best part of this story. I walked up to this guy dressed like a Mandalorian and a guy dressed like a Jedi, and we had made some like hand-printed cards advertising the group, and I was like, you guys seem cool, but I don't want to get in trouble with the SWTOR team that I know is bouncing around here, so just try to keep this under the radar. And 5 minutes later, it turned out that Jedi was Charles Boyd as he mounted the stairs, and I was like, well, good group.
Guess that cat's out of the bag.
And I guess we'll be cease and desisted soon. But the BioWare team has been just fantastic and super excited about all of the work we've been doing.
That is such a cool story. I love that.
It's so funny. Now, how many have you done cosplayers of the Old Republic tables at celebrations before this one?
Actually, Celebration 2019 was our first table ever, our first banner, our first table.
Nice.
And just seeing the excitement from all the members that showed up there and from all these other people who go to other cons like San Diego and New York and Dragon Con, just asking, when's our next table? Where can we do another one? So that's we don't have good details on that, but we're definitely looking around for the future. I think the next one we're really planning is the Joliet Star Wars Days.
Yes.
The leader of Joliet ended up coming over and talking to us and asking if we wouldn't mind having a few people go represent the group at Joliet. So I guess it's kind of our second table right now, and then we'll shoot for things in the future. Maybe Dragon Con in the fall. We're trying to work that right now.
That's
Wow.
nice. Now, what are like the first SWTOR cosplays you did, and like what's your favorite ones?
Ooh, the first one I did was my favorite class was the Hero of Tython. So I went ahead and started that costume as just a basic Jedi Sentinel robes, and then I did Sith contacts and makeup that Jay nicely did for me to be the Emperor's Thrall. And then I added a little bit of armor for Battle of Corellia. I sort of just leveled it up as it went along, much like in the game.
Nice.
That's awesome. Dang.
Yeah,
Then
add more and more Sith makeup and stuff as you go.
It got
Or,
quite
dark side.
terrifying. Yeah, because I do photography too, so we went out on Halloween because we were near DC at the time, and so we went out to the basin, which has all these really cool structures, and it was just like the most terrifying photo shoot we've ever done.
Oh, that's cool. How about you, Jay? What was your first SWTOR cosplay, and maybe your favorite as well?
And so my first, I play a Mary-Ellen smuggler in the game. So my first was my character.
Nice.
I think that's what we have the picture of over there.
Yeah, in the show,
so
if anyone's listening to the show note or looking at the show notes, there's a picture of Jae and Drew at Celebration.
So this is the picture in the notes.
I'm sorry,
is our
Ash.
most recent setup. So this is like my current costume in the game, and that's
Oh, cool.
Ash's current costume in the game.
Wow.
So which is kind of interesting because we've just kind of evolved over the last few years. And I do costumes from the graphic novels as well. So I have a Shantique and a Jeriel, or Jarell as John Jackson Miller pronounces it, so I have to correct myself. So they're like basically opposites in the comic books. So it was nice to do that. And they're all colored. I do all sorts of alien species, and I like doing, I'm partially a makeup artist, so I do that as well.
That's cool. Yeah, I like the Mary Ellen makeup you have in the picture. It's very accurate to one of the ones that's in the game. I'm sure it's the one on your character, of course.
Yes, my tattoos and all.
Right. And is that Nick's jacket, or is that, because it's kind of like it's like a jacket but with armor under it? Is it?
It's the Eternal Commander jacket. I think it's the Enforcer jacket, Mark III.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I did the Resilient Warden armor that you can get on the cartel market.
Nice. And are these your favorite cosplays as well?
Yeah.
Or do you have other ones that you like as well?
I think we like these ones because they're our most advanced.
Mm-hmm.
I just like being green, so I
Like you do.
yes, colored,
Right.
all sorts of colors.
Yeah, there's in the background of the picture. There's a dummy with a couple of there were several dummies with outfits, and I think I recognize the one just behind Ash, or in the picture. I mean, visually behind him in the picture, and I believe I've seen him. I think it was when I was at the New York Comic-Con cantina.
Yeah,
like about 4 years ago. I guess it was 4 years ago.
Yeah, Civilized Galactic Gear is his company, and he did all the leather work for. It's funny, the picture you have, he's wearing the third set of armor that he did, just at the edge of the screen. That's not a mannequin. That's actually him.
Okay.
And he did the leather work. Ace Costumes did the soft bits, and they actually won the Star Wars group cosplay at Celebration 2017.
Yes, I seem to remember that. That was that outfit has always been like pretty incredible. I mean, the leather work is just exquisite. Yeah. Are there any cosplays that you're really looking forward to doing?
Oh yeah,
I'd say Jay has something in mind.
I have a purple Natalin, who is a bounty hunter, and after literally at Celebration at the cantina, I was running around that room. I was so excited.
So excited for the Nautilin announcement.
My color in my favorite species.
So that's definitely in your cosplaying future then. Awesome.
Yes, and now it can be officially Old Republic. Not that it couldn't before because it was generic, but
right.
It can be my character in
Old
Republic.
I can't wait to see how you do all of those. They're not Legu on a Nautilin, but I don't know what they are.
I'm thinking
I keep
about
calling
the
them
eyes.
tendrils. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the eyes are ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's got a mask that I have to attach to my face, and it just looks odd.
And also just the ability to actually see with it on so that
Yeah.
you're not a clumsy Nautilin.
Yeah, you're definitely
fine.
going to need Drew to be a handler at that point.
Yes,
That's going to be
Hope-
so much fun.
I will hopefully be able to see my toes, but we're not sure.
That's awesome. What do you guys like to do in game?
We both tend to be pretty solitary players, mostly sticking to the story,
Mhm.
just sort of running through and I guess role playing it from the perspective of our individual characters. I know a few people have asked me at things like cantinas if we do operations or if we're part of guilds, and we haven't joined any guilds, and we don't normally do operations just because it takes so long to get a proper group together.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have that one person who's like, well, we've been waiting here for an hour and a half. I got to go make dinner or something. And then now you're
That
down a
never
person
happens.
again. Never happens.
Can I just devil's advocate here that it takes a long time to put a raid team together, but like those gauntlets, how long did that take?
True story.
I mean,
That's true. We actually do play the game because I make most of our costumes, but Drew does some of the foam work, and
Nice.
he'll be playing it for me while I'm sewing my jacket together, or the pants, or the gloves, or something. Because I
Okay.
keep the sewing machine next to. We use a TV as like our computer monitor,
Mhm.
so I'm just like sitting there sewing our costumes while I'm running around.
That's totally enough time to look for group DPS, hard mode flashpoint.
Hey, we tried to get him in last night. We needed a couple GPS, but Drew was like, "No, we don't do ops." Also,
I was
we're
gonna
doing
say-
other things.
You don't have
One-
to explain to me though. I'm not finding the best ability to play the game these days either. So
I mean, it's one raid group or 3 of the Eternal Empire chapters.
Right.
That's funny.
To swing back to Celebration, what made you decide to make that jump into actually having a table, and then also how did you get connected to SWTORistas as well? Because I know you ended up side by side. I don't know what other
We
connections
did
there
that
might
on
be.
purpose.
Yeah, so the Lucasfilm, or like the people that run Celebration, had put out the request for fan tables.
Right.
And Ash kind of looked at me, and he looked at the application, and he was like, let's just do it. Let's see what happens.
I mean, what are the chances they'll approve it, right?
Yeah. So we hadn't heard from them in at least a year. So we had bought tickets with the normal when it went live, and we'd gotten our hotel and everything because we were going to come anyways.
Right.
And then like 6 or 7 months ago, we get this email from ReadPop, and it was like, welcome to the fan table group. And it's like, Cosplayers of the Old Republic was accepted to have a fan table at Celebration. And we just kind of looked at each other and
my
just started
gosh.
screaming. And just because that's kind of how we knew we would be able to continue what we do.
Yeah, that is amazing.
If
I
we
love
are accepted and allowed to participate, we are going to continue to be allowed to participate for now, at least.
Right.
And we always have, especially obviously Disney took over, and we had to kind of see, without being in canon anymore, whether or not they were going to kind of welcome us back in, not necessarily to canon necessarily, but we didn't want to be excluded or start to be excluded because they're separate entities.
Right.
But I think, especially when we were there, we were welcomed with open arms, and we met all the Lucasfilm people, and we met all the BioWare staff, all the EA staff, or that was
So
there.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of exciting that like our dream of like getting people together for Cosplayers of the Old Republic, and just trying to be inclusive and just be there for people. We had no idea what was going to happen. It was just us two. Like we were showing up. And then SWTORista was in our email chains through ReadPop, and she kind of messaged us, and we were going back and forth about, well, maybe we can apply to have our booths next to each other, and we could do like an end cap and kind of have it more open, and just like a
Right.
SWTOR area instead, because SWTOR,
Yeah.
it's not a small part of Star Wars, but it's a smaller fan base when you're looking at something like Celebration. And so it was like, oh yeah, let's definitely do it. So we went back and forth with some different like booth layouts, and we didn't even know who were going to be next to each other, because you have to apply for like your spot.
Right.
And like a month or two before Celebration, they finally released our booth location, and we were next to SWTOR, and she was like, okay, let's do it. Like, what else do you need?
And really, it ends up working out, but it's a win-win situation, because if you have people who play the game but didn't realize that there's a whole cosplayer component, we were right. They could be like, oh, well, I was looking at the game. Oh, wait, cosplayers. And then if you have people that say maybe used to play the old Knights of the Republic games and are dressed like Revan or Nihilus or someone, they can walk up and be like, oh, these are awesome costumes. And we go, oh, have you met SWTOR?
Right.
So we ended up being very symbiotic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was. And it was really cool to... We felt like we were one big table, at least on my end. It felt like we were just one big table, and we kind of took down pulled apart the curtains between us, so we actually literally could walk back and forth between the booths. And people were great. I mean, and seeing the cosplayers, and it's just cool because you never know who plays versus who cosplays, and most of us do both actually. So it was kind of cool.
What was your favorite cosplay that you saw at Celebration?
That's a tough question.
Oh my gosh.
We had so many amazing people come by. I mean, Charles Boyd was... I kept saying he looked like a majestic stallion in his gold armor with his man bun.
He did.
There was a Darth Malora that showed up, and she had the prosthetic makeup, and she had armor that looked like mine, and she had the green contacts. It was just, especially after playing Osis, it was incredible to see that in person.
Yeah, that's bringing it together pretty quickly too. I mean, Osis hasn't been out for years; it's been out a few months.
Jay was just saying the Egg Sisters. They did a Sith Pureblood. They did a Hunter's mask. I think it was a Primal Hunter mask, and a Zabrak. So that was cool to see. We saw a Mandalore. Yes! Mandalore the Indomitable.
He was amazing.
Wow.
He was very tall too. Like, he's just a tall dude. And then he had his helmet and all of his armor on top of that. So he was just like way above all of us.
That is cool. That is cool.
I think there was some apprehension as we went into Celebration about, I mean, we're diving into the deep end. We were trying to set up a table with having no experience in it before. And I think we were worried that there just wasn't going to be interest. And in the end, we had scores of people just come to us. People showed up in costume, super excited. A few of our members were more than willing to take over the table so we could actually go eat some food and not pass out from hunger. So that was nice.
Right.
Yeah.
And I assume that some of the people from Cosplayers of the Old Republic, you got to meet for the first time in person?
Correct.
Yeah, that was so cool. Like, people that I've been friends with for 2 years now, have never met them, not in person. And it was just like, oh, that's you. Like, I don't even know what your voice sounds like, let alone what your, like, size is. I see your face on Facebook. Like, that's about it. And it was nice to be, everyone knew us. It was so weird. They're like, so popular. Where's Jay? Yes. Like, literally, that Mandalore was running to our table and was like, we've been looking for you for 2 hours. We are so excited. And that was so cool. Like, I was definitely getting a little teary-eyed because, like, this was unfortunately and fortunately, it was kind of on a whim. We just wanted to do it.
Right.
And now it's become something that we are kind of expected to participate, and people come to us for things, and it's
that's
just
right.
Like, okay,
responsibility.
Yeah. This is a thing now.
That's probably what happened with the 501st. You know, back in the day, it was probably just like, oh, well, we want to do cosplay, and then they sort of get recognized, and then boom, they're just expected to be everywhere. And now you're expected to be everywhere when it comes to SWTOR cosplay. That's pretty awesome.
And how often do you have a pair of Dreadmasters or Arkin and Dexon show up and start standing guard at your booth?
Nice.
Truly.
Yeah, that was actually probably terrifying for everyone else but us.
I'm just glad that the Dreadmasters didn't pass out from dehydration. This had to be some super hot costumes. They had leather and full head helmets. And...
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no skin showing on those Dreadmasters. That is awesome. All right. let's see. Well, let's go ahead and check in with Fee. Fee, I mean, I've been happy that you've been talking as well, but go ahead and let us know what you've been up to recently.
Oh, well, not a whole lot, actually. We did the Jar Jar last night. We amazed ourselves with one-shotting and completing Temple of Sacrifice in less than an hour. So...
Oh, wow.
It was
that is quick.
Stunning. Yes. We were like, wait, what time is it? Wait, why is my boost only half gone? Like, it was very
exactly.
confusing to us. And lots of fun. So...
Yeah, that's almost like Karaga's Palace type speed. That's really fast.
Yeah, it was. It was crazy. But at the last minute, we did have 2 DPS who were like, can't come. So I'm like, let's see if Jae and Ash can come. So I was like, hey, guys. And he was like, no, we're doing some con stuff. We'll have no run-ups. Yeah. But, yeah, so we did that last night. It was very fun. And then today, Cass, who was at Celebration, probably met you guys, I don't know, is held a achievement hunting event today. So we were on Dromancos, running around killing everything and finding macro binocular missions and the MCR 99 droids that are on all the planets.
Right.
So you get a little pet afterwards if you get all of those. So she is very achievement oriented. I mean, I'm achievement oriented, but she's crazy. She probably has spreadsheets. I'm sure she has spreadsheets. And I love it. It's great. So she organized this, and we had 7 of us running around Dromancos causing trouble. So that was fun.
Excellent. And how's the guild doing? What's up with the guild?
Good. We've got quite a few new people. So that's fun to see. Kind of like Jae and Ash were talking about, people know who you are and you have no idea about it. It's just crazy. Like one person said he talked to some nice lady at the booth, the SWTOR booth, and so he thought he'd come back into the game. I'm like, it's probably me or SWTORista, but she was flitting about, so it's more likely to be me. So that was pretty crazy. But yeah, so the guild's doing well. I think we hit some max that we've never seen before today. Cass was like, that's a good thing, right? And I was like, I don't even know what that means. So yeah, it's like a rep max, like you have a weekly max.
Right.
It's one of
the caps. That's nice. That is nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, you have to have a fair number of active players for that to happen, so that's really good.
Right. So it's been fun. Still kind of riding high off of the celebration, so it's good.
Yeah, get a little rejuiced up from today, I'm sure.
For sure.
All right, Doc, what you been up to?
I have been in many different corners of the United States since the last time we met, Jill.
Yes, in fact, that's one of the reasons we're not doing this on Thursday.
Yeah, so I got home late in the afternoon on Thursday, and I just did not think that recording the podcast when, my son's getting home from school, my wife will be getting home from work, and just making sure that I'm back in Arizona. So thank you for switching it. I think that this fits in a lot better. So I've had presentations in Florida, and I did an all-day workshop on clinical supervision in Washington. And then 2 days later, I did another loot box presentation. But this was a director's cut because they gave me an extra 30 minutes I didn't have last time. So I got to extend the concepts and actually include a few more SWTOR slides, because I have slides where I compare an example of a good-looking character and an example of a derpy-looking character. And yes, that is my professional vernacular for what some characters can look like. For example, our guest today would never cosplay as some things that you can come up with because they just look horrendous.
Right.
So explaining to people how the horrendous costumes are the ones that are bronze and you get them all the time, and you do not necessarily feel like you won when you open up a pack in our game, and versus the ones that clearly are a win, and I wish I could go to work dressed like this because I would intimidate people and get whatever I want. So that's it's new for people who just study lots of psych textbooks their whole life, the ins and outs of all of this, and what the desire to customize these virtual Barbies is going to do to your wallet if you let it.
Right.
And so it was really fun event. I was out of town away from my family for all of last week, basically. And as a side note, more professional plugs, I was on my first counseling podcast yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So
Excellent.
if anyone wants to hear Dr. Kaufman talk about gambling and technology and process addictions, then I will let our community know when that episode is edited and live. It's the Counselor Toolbox podcast. So just lots of really cool counselor type things.
Did you use your regular name, or do you still go by Dr. SWTOR?
No, I went by my real name there.
I figured.
Yeah. So
It would have been awesome, though. It would have been kind of a power move.
I did
Seriously.
I did talk about Star Wars: The Old Republic in the context of my initial dissertation research. So people who listen, if they're really interested, they will be able to follow the breadcrumbs and maybe discover OotiniCast. And you know, it's not something that I even bother hiding. I told a class just like 3 weeks ago that this is something I do. So it's just so anyway, as far as Star Wars: The Old Republic goes, I bought my Executioner lightsaber. And super excited. I keep switching every day between green crystals or blue crystals on it.
Right. The picture looks like the sea green one.
Yes.
I like that one. Yeah.
When Volk got his picture on the launcher, that crystal is, in my opinion, the most beautiful blue-black crystal that exists. That is what I would ideally want if I were a real Jedi or Sith. So I've used that crystal for a few evenings when I play too, just to decide whether I like the blue-green contrast or just completely embrace the blue.
Right.
And so I've gotten to do a few raids, I think, since our last recording. One night we made it to Brontes on hard mode, and that was a first for me, or maybe a second, but it's not something that we're very good at yet. So, you know, my 6 or 7 months straight in the Dread Fortress hopefully is coming to an end. I really hope, because I'm living in this world where there's only two things in the Old Republic: Osis and the Dread Fortress. Nothing else. I was able to jump in and get a crystal from a story mode run somewhere in there, and I did get to do a Toth Zorn recently.
Oh, nice.
And, the tanks in that op stopped our evening, but I have not done Explosive Conflict since last summer when I beat the op. So it was nice to try and remember and be a little bit more of a leader with real opinions whereas last summer I was a follower. So I guess there's a Darth Vader quote in there somewhere.
Probably.
Also, I just want to, everyone who's listening probably got this already, but we did lose Peter Mayhew since the last episode.
Yes.
So that's another of our original family that is added to the wonderful, heartbreaking pictures of our cartoons walking off into the sunset, you know. And so it used to be R2, and then we added Leia, and now it's Chewie. So on Facebook, I just encouraged everyone who has friended me on Facebook to enjoy what we have now, because sooner or later, this picture is essentially going to be a movie poster where, you know, it's sad to think that way, but it is a natural part of life. Mourn them, do not. Miss them, do not. You know. So you're welcome, everyone listening. I bummed you out. Haha. But
Thank you, Doctor.
you're welcome. But, you know, I have a story I wanted to share about Peter Mayhew. I got to meet him once at Star Wars weekends back when they did those. And that particular morning, there were 6 of us who slept on the concrete all night. and I went in line with my book where I collect autographs on the Star Wars posters. So I waited in line for Jeremy Bullock, and then my wife waited in line for Peter Mayhew, and my line went through faster. And so I got that signature, and I walked up to the ropes. My wife was about 3 minutes away, and so I passed the book to her so she could get it signed by Mr. Mayhew. And he saw that, and when a couple minutes later, when she got to him, he like welcomed me through the ropes to be in the picture with my wife and him.
Aw.
And you know, it's so hot in Florida, and that not every Star Wars celebrity is thoughtful like that.
True
Because
story.
yeah, so that's always stayed with me, as you know, he was one of the best people to meet, and I've always valued that experience. So I'm sure other people have met Mr. Mayhew throughout the years, and just that really has weighed on me, just because of what I do. Death is something that I get to talk about a lot more than I ever thought I would when I was just a learner getting ready. So, so that's another thing I wanted to share. And it does look, just as a note, we can edit this sentence out, but it does look like we're having Twitch issues. So I'm keeping my recording going, and Chill, you have some editing to do. I hope you listen to this when you edit.
Yeah, he definitely disappeared.
His modem took a tank, and he's resetting it. So
That's
he'll
okay.
get it.
All right, so this is the Dr. SWTOR show now.
I was gonna say, in the meantime, let me just say the Cosplayers of the Old Republic definitely appreciates dressing for the job you want.
Oh yeah.
As you were, I saw the picture you'd put on the show notes, and going ahead and finding that one costume, whether it's in a loot box or whether you buy it direct, that you just feel confident going into your next confrontation. It's we totally understand that, because you're saying we wouldn't build a derpy character, but that's just it's because it takes a lot of time to build pieces just to be derpy.
Just to be derpy. Yeah. So
doesn't mean we don't take plenty of derpy photos at photo shoots, though.
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, it all depends what you're trying to accomplish with the armor set, right? So, okay.
What's going on over there?
I have no idea.
He just kind of mumbled.
Did I? I was talking.
No, Ash did.
Oh, I did.
That's why I was laughing.
Funny.
There's a disruption in the force. Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, I'll just go through the rest of my list here for the notes, and Chill will return, I'm sure. No one's ever really gone, right? So,
unless they're dead.
Nope, not even.
But they're not even then.
You know,
they're not even.
I was driving down the interstate earlier this morning, and it just, I was creating a list mentally of all the people who fall in movies and are not dead. So, you know, we have Gandalf. Now it appears that some weird way we have Palpatine. Actually, the culprit that made me start thinking about this is Malgus, and how actually disappointed I am in that.
He's back.
In that whole story. I feel like it was pretty conclusive that he's gone in The False Emperor. So I'm not buying that. Sorry, BioWare. I love your game, obviously, but come on. But then I was thinking, like, how often is the surprise the reveal of a hero character? Also, Bucky Barnes, by the way. A hero character not quite so dead versus a villain character not quite so dead. And I don't know. It consumed my mind all morning, like where we're going, especially since Star Wars has done this at least twice. And I'm sure the Emperor really is dead, and it's a Force thing, right? So
it's got to be a holocron or something, right?
Or maybe he possessed Darth Vader's helmet.
I mean, we've seen that with Momin.
Yeah. So, I mean, is there any Clone Wars or Rebels episode where maybe a Sith did not avoid death, but they did by inhabiting an object? I know it happens in SWTOR, but that's not canon. So, I'm just wondering, is there a canon example of a Sith dying, but their presence inhabits an item?
Clone Wars had Darth Bane come out of his holocron.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there we go. I think that might be the route we're going. Can we just have a holocron in a Star Wars movie? That would be
Right?
really nice.
You'd have to